It's a pleasure to visit the museum today. I don't get around to our wonderful museum often enough, and today when I came in, I viewed the oldest voting machine that we used in Independence County back in 2006, as I recall. My uncle's and aunt's picture is here on the wall. He was a big patron of the museum. And I think back to the first time I used this voting machine, and I guess I was a little intimidated, but I had become fairly technologically savvy, and it didn't intimidate me. It just a little getting used to it. But once I got used to it, I could vote in just a matter of seconds. I'm one of those people who know exactly what I'm going to vote for when the time comes to cast your vote. Used to, for several years, I've been on the council, this is my 12th year on city council, and used to, I was always the first person in Independence County to vote. On the day that early voting started, I was always there when they opened the door. I did that for 5 or 6 years, and then I've kind of slacked off in the last few years. But I really enjoyed the voting machines because it allowed the voting counts to come in quicker. Because used to, when you'd have the paper ballots, I know my grandfather at Huff had a voting precinct at Huff, and they voted in his carport. Out, not, you know, in November, sometimes it's pretty chilly. They didn't vote in the house, they voted in the carport. And I never will forget that. But used to, they'd have to get all the paper ballots, load them in a vehicle, and had to be 2 people with them at all times to come and take them to the courthouse. And back then, the roads weren't as good as they are now, so it took a lot longer to drive in from the outlying precincts in the county. And then once they got there, they had to count all of them. And sometimes it was this got a hanging chad on there, or, you know, like it was in the presidential election a few years ago. And it allowed much faster vote tallies. Used to, it would go way past midnight before you really hear much, and then it was only on the radio because we didn't have too much of internet and stuff back in the old days. But with the voting machines, when they come into the courthouse to the where the election commission set up, they just stick the cartridge in there and it counts them, and they get an immediate readout. So to me, that's better because it's a more definitive, you know, tabulation of the votes, and it comes in faster. So it's kind of nostalgic. I'm glad y'all have this older voting machine, because it won't be very many more years that people won't even know what one is. I think we'll probably go to internet voting at some point in our history.